So in this video today we are going to discuss about the various reforms which were undertaken by the government of India, and especially if you remember, if you have seen the earlier video, we have already discussed about the various problems which we are facing and in the Indian agriculture, and along with that, what was the condition of Indian agriculture just after the independence. So as you all know it very well, that Indian agriculture has been actually the backbone of our economy, and over the years its contribution to the total gross domestic product, we can say, it has been declining. And especially when we talk about the that period when we got independence, at that time it was really the people were very much concerned about that, and it was the time when the various planners and all the politicians and all the leaders of India, they came together and they thought of it. And since that time, several reforms have been taken up so that we can develop our agriculture as fast as we can. As we know it very well that if there is going to be a decline in agriculture, it's going to it will lead to a decline in other sectors of economy also. So to get a faster development of the entire nation, it was the basic requirement, and especially to get a development from the grassroots level, it was basically required that we should have a development of this sector, that is agriculture. And for that purpose, one initiative was taken. Actually, several reforms were taken, so we are going to discuss most of them. But especially one big step was taken, and that was called as Green Revolution. Green Revolution in India. And first of all, when we start with this topic, Green Revolution in India, it was actually started as just an experimental step, and it was just to check that what is going to be the effect of these new methods and these new suppose the HYV seeds and the pesticides, insecticides, fertilizers and all these, and when, if it is going to be successful, when the people will see that the result is a positive one, and to what extent it is, then it is going to be introduced in the other parts of India. So keeping this in mind, first of all, the Punjab state of India was taken for this Green Revolution. And the main crops which were actually selected for this purpose were wheat and rice. And it was started in 1960s in India, especially in Mexico, all over the world. If we see in Mexico and the Indian subcontinent, initially it was started, and then all over the world also it spread over, and especially when we talk about India. In India, it was led mainly by an Indian scientist, M.S. Swaminathan. Under his leadership, it was introduced and it got very much successful in India. The Green Revolution was a period when agriculture in India was converted into an industrial system, just like an industrial system, due to the adoption of modern methods and technology, and the mechanized farming was being introduced for the first time. It is regarded as one of the greatest revolutions in India, which really helped to transform the Indian economy from what was being called as a food scarcity, an economy of food scarcity, because at that time we were not even able to produce the food grains to fulfill the requirements of our own people. Okay, this was the condition. So it is actually an initiative which changed, which transformed the entire economy, Indian economy, from an economy of food scarcity to a food self-sufficiency economy, or you can say an economy of food surplus. Now the condition of India is that India is one of the leading agricultural nations in the world. A big credit we can give to the Green Revolution of India. Then it resulted into a manifold increase, in the total farm production and the productivity, especially regarding the cereal crops, or you can say the food grains and all. So what are the key elements when we talk about the Green Revolution? We need to know what actually were the main features of the Green Revolution, which was started at that time. Let's see what were the main features or the key elements of the Green Revolution. Number one, the use of large capital and technological inputs. Large capital means actually when the latest machineries and the latest different scientific methods have to be used, the fertilizers and pesticides, insecticides, and the hybrid seeds. If we have to use all these things, naturally we need a lot of capital for it. We need a lot of money for it. So because it was started from, actually it was an initiative which was taken up by government only. So whatever capital was required and the various technological inputs, suppose any support from the people who were belonging to this field, right, the latest research developments and all, and the machineries, all the latest methods of farming, all these were introduced by the government at that time. And this was a revolution in which on large scale HYV seeds were used for the first time. HYV seeds means high yielding variety seeds. And these were the seeds which were developed, or you can say the hybrid seeds. And these seeds, these were able to give a lot of production. A lot of total production was increased because of the use of it. And it could continue, right? It could grow well in very harsh conditions also. And its duration, the span of its, you can say the growing period of these seeds was also found that it was shorter than the normal seeds. So this was another step which was actually, this was another feature which was introduced. Then extension of irrigation facilities. For these seeds, it was found that the irrigation facility should be there, available in those areas wherever these seeds are being used or this Green Revolution has been introduced. So to make sure that the irrigation facility is available, because we cannot rely totally on just the rainfalls. Okay, and rainfalls are, when it is by the monsoons, it is totally unpredictable. Okay, so it is something we should have some support with us regarding irrigation. So extension of irrigation facilities were found at that time. There was you will find, if you just check it, you will find during that period, number of tube wells were dug and the canals were built in those areas. Next point is proper use of chemical fertilizers. Yes, it was the time when chemical fertilizers were introduced. Earlier we were using the manure, right, in the fields. Now it was the first time when chemical fertilizers were used, and the various pesticides, insecticides, to reduce the pest and the effect of any such insects and all. These strong chemicals were used in the fields. Then next is improvement in marketing and storage facilities. Yes, it is also one requirement for the agriculture. When we are doing the farming or we are doing any of the agricultural activities, we should have a proper reach or a connectivity with the market. And when the market is available to us, how to reach there, and when the production has been done, there should be a storage facility available with us. All these things were provided at that time. Then one more problem which was being faced by the Indian agriculture at that time was the land holdings. Very small farm size was there. So it was again seen that this is one drawback. So how to cover it up? How to actually get the solution of it? So in that regard, government had taken one important step, and that was consolidation of land holdings. So this was again one very important step. Next is rural electrification. Without the electricity, without education of the people there, we cannot imagine that all these things can be done. And especially when we are talking of the tube wells and all, these were totally working on the electricity. And unless the electricity supply is there, it won't work. So for that purpose, immediate electrification was done in the rural areas, and various machineries were being used. Then next is, after introducing all these things in that area, it was seen what actually was expected. It was seen that it resulted into much better result. Okay, let's see what was the impact of Green Revolution on the Indian agriculture then. So we can just discuss under these points. Number one, we can say that it enabled Indian agriculture to change from subsistence to commercial. Subsistence to commercial, or you can say market oriented. What is that now? Subsistence, we discussed in the earlier part of it. Subsistence is that type of farming in which basically the farming is done with the traditional methods, and moreover it is meant totally for their own consumption. The people who are involved in that farming or the agriculture, they are producing all the crops just for their own consumption. Now this was the practice which was being done earlier in India, because we were not having so much of food grains with us, so it was quite natural. Then at that time it was focused, with the introduction of Green Revolution, it was focused that we should think of the other method of farming or the agriculture, and that was basically the commercial type or market oriented. And what is commercial type now? Commercial type is mainly, it was actually kept in mind that first we have to feed the population of India and the livestock. After that, whatever surplus is there, we are going to sell it out in the market. And basically the type of crops, you can say, it changed from only the food grains which were being produced. It changed from, along with food grains, we started thinking of the cash crops, so that we can get some extra income from that. So that is called commercial and market oriented. Basic thing which was there in our mind at that time was to earn more and more production, to get more and more production, so that we can earn more profit. This was the main thing, and for that purpose whatever was required, it was being done, right? It led to the development of intensive agricultural production system. That means any land cannot be left without any crop. Some time or the other you will find, or many times you will see, that this type of farming is that in which you'll find more than one crop is actually growing at a time on the field. So it was totally utilized to produce the crops. So that was the practice which was introduced, and which increased the production. Naturally, it increased the production and paved the way for self-sufficiency in respect of especially the food grains. Now, the next point, adoption of new technology under Green Revolution created more employment. More employment opportunities were created by the agriculture sector. So this was again one thing which was in favor of our country, right, and the economy. Then next is it enabled the farmers to obtain increasing returns from agriculture by greater utilization of agricultural inputs. They were able to now utilize more inputs. That means the fertilizers and the, suppose we have to use pesticides or any such insecticides and all. We were able to use that. So if we are able to use all these inputs, naturally we are going to get better returns from the field. The condition earlier was not that. Earlier we were actually belonging to and we were having an economy which was not in, you can say, in a good condition, right? The people were not so well off. They had to think of it. Even if they know, they were not able to introduce all these things in the field because they were not having any such means, and they were not very well off. The education was not there. People were mostly illiterate, and this was the initiative which was taken by the government at that time. In that region, several schools were started. Especially it was meant for this purpose only, so that if the person is at least, even he or she is a little bit educated, it is going to be better. Then the next is it increased the rural prosperity. Yes, no doubt. It was an initiative which led to the overall prosperity of especially the Indian villages, the rural areas. And that was the main aim behind this. So ultimately, if we can say that it changed India's status from a food deficient country. Food scarcity was there, na? So we can say that it changed from food deficient country to one of the world's leading agricultural nations. Then besides this, if you talk about the other reforms which have been introduced by the government at several times, under those reforms, a few have been mentioned here. Number one, provision for crop insurance against drought, flood, cyclone, fire and diseases and all. There was actually a strong step which was actually introduced by the government, that to provide a crop insurance. What is the need for it? Just think of it. Because this is an occupation where a person depends totally on the weather conditions. If the weather is not in control of anybody. So if the weather is very bad, so he has to think of it. What will happen with his crops? This was something which was again a matter of concern for these people who were taking these steps regarding all these reforms and all. Because whenever, suppose rainfall is too much, it will be also problem for the farmer. When rainfall is not there or the monsoons are late, again the problem will be there with the total production. Cyclones, fire, several diseases have been seen many times. So ultimately, the whole time, suppose from the beginning when the farmer sows the seeds he is sowing in the fields, from that day, a farmer takes care of every thing what is happening in his field. And ultimately, when the crop is ready to be harvested, at that time, suppose, just an example I'm giving you, if the rainfall has occurred too much and the floods have been caused, so that will destroy the total production. So this is the thing, children. You should understand that what is the effect of all these drought, floods and all these on the life of farmer. Because the only source of earning is agriculture. And if it is gone, then nothing is there with him. So there should be a crop insurance. So this was one reform which was introduced by the government. Next is establishment of Grameen banks. Yes, and cooperative societies. Basically, these banks were started. The rural banks were started actually to provide loans to the farmers at very low rate of interest, so that they can be helped somehow by providing the loan at very low interest rate, so that they can get the fertilizer, they can get the seeds easily from the market. They don't have to think of it, that from where to get. Moreover, the subsidy was also being provided. Subsidy on the seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides. All these things are the basic requirements, basic inputs what the farmer need to introduce in the fields. So subsidy has been introduced by the government. What is subsidy now? At lower rate, these things are provided to the farmers. Next is establishment of ICAR. Now what is ICAR? It is Indian Council of Agricultural Research. This was a body which was started at that time, and along with this, several agricultural universities were also started. What was the main purpose? Mainly it was meant for various research work related to the various crops and what type of soil will have what production. If we use any particular fertilizer, what is going to be the production of in the case of any particular type of seed. Then one crop, suppose wheat, has got different type of seeds. So which seed is better in what way? Producing some hybrid seeds. So these were the main work which were actually looked after by the ICAR and these various agricultural universities. Then next is veterinary services were provided to the farmers. Yes, it was again one important part, because as you all know, in the beginning we have discussed very clearly that agriculture doesn't mean only farming of land. It includes the livestock also, the rearing of cattle and the poultry farming and the aquaculture, and all these things are considered a part of it. So if we are taking care of the crops on one side, we need to provide services for taking care of these animals and all, cattle and all, right? Because they may have diseases, they may have some problems. So for that purpose also, veterinary services were provided. Then next is development of horticulture. Basically, it was meant for actually increasing the total return from the agriculture sector, because horticulture is also part of it. Then Kisan credit card, like we are having credit card, by that you should have got some idea. This was introduced actually for especially the farmers, and it was basically providing service. Suppose the farmers have got some amount of some money is there in that card. They could use this card by for purchasing any fertilizer or the pesticides and all, and it was actually providing them easy access to all these inputs. Then next is personal insurance accident scheme. That means the farmers, when they are suppose they are the only earning member in their families, and even earning member of what type, they are doing their hard work, and anytime anything can happen and which can destroy the total crop. So that crop security is also one thing, and along with that, the life of that farmer who is responsible for his entire family, for the entire you can say life. So the farmer was also given insurance facility. Then next is research and development in the field of meteorology and weather forecast. What is the need of it? It is very much required, because it is something on which directly the agriculture is dependent. Weather. Okay. So with the help of the development of the meteorological department, IMD, Indian Meteorological Department, this actually department helped a lot in weather forecast. And how it helped the farmers. If a farmer is going to do anything in the fields after a few days, and he has got the information, latest information, that within 2 days there is going to be heavy rainfall in that area, so he can pre-plan all that what he was going to do a few days back. So in this manner, if a person is going to do anything in suppose after 1 week he has planned to do the harvesting of the crops, and he has got somehow the information regarding the weather conditions that in coming days, coming 4-5 days, there may be heavy rainfall in that area. So what will be the effect on the farmer? farmer is going to plan his all the activities accordingly. This is how he will get the benefit. So this is something which is going to help the farmers a lot. Then next is special weather bulletins and agricultural programs were introduced on TV and radio. Yes, several programs were made just for this purpose only, so that we can provide informations to the farmers about the what type of crop they should grow and what they should do regarding to get a better production out of it. Even the regarding the insurance schemes also, they were provided proper information because they were not knowing about it. Many of the farmers were not at all aware about all these things. So these programs were specially meant for this purpose. Next was announcement of minimum support price. Yes, this is again very important thing. Because when the total production is there with the farmers, they carry all these, the total produced to the market, to the mandis, local mandis and all, right? And when they don't get a proper price of their produce, the proper return is not there, so they get totally discouraged by that. So to assure that they are getting minimum, at least they are going to get that much price, what is always in favor of the farmers, it has been assured by the government. And always the minimum support price is fixed by the government, so that no other third body is going to influence the total return what the farmers are getting. Next is creation of irrigation infrastructure and its optimum utilization. Yes, in several areas, once the Green Revolution was such a big success, after that all such things were introduced throughout, actually in the entire India. And that was the time when a lot of the tube wells were dug, and especially the canals were constructed at that time in the entire northern belt of India, northern plains. And it was taken care of that it is properly giving the benefit to the farmers. Its optimum, maximum use was actually assured, that it is providing its maximum utilization. Then next is several help centers like Kisan call centers and all. These were established to actually sort out various queries. This has recently been done in the last 1 decade. This step has been taken up, and this has helped a lot the farmers. And it has been made so easy that the farmers just dial one number and they are able to reach to that person whom they can ask the questions related to their fields and all, right? The crops and what type of fertilizers, which type of seed they should use, all these things they can get easily, the information they can get easily from the person whom they are calling. So these call centers actually helped a lot again to the farmers. So basically, children, you all should understand that these reforms which were actually taken up by the government at different periods, all this helped a lot in the development of Indian agriculture. Now it has changed a lot. If you compare the today's condition with the agriculture what we had at that time when we got independence, a lot of things have changed. It has really developed a lot, but still there is always a scope to get better and better. So for that purpose, still we are taking different steps, right? Government is also doing its best, right? So that we can have better development of this sector, which is an important part of the Indian economy. So that's all with this video. And before I leave, once I must remind you all that don't forget to share the link of this video with your friends and the classmates, and also subscribe the channel. And once you have subscribed the channel, please press the bell icon so that you are going to get the notifications whenever any new video is uploaded in this channel. Bye.